Hello and welcome to another episode of That 60s Recording Podcast, the podcast that has conversations inspired by the golden era of recording. This is part 2 of my conversation with Ted Fletcher. It's been, to get slightly reflective for a second before we dive into the conversation, it's been one of those special episodes where Ted has been such an integral part of different facets of the music industry since, through the 60s and onwards. And it's almost like a culmination of a lot of the episodes that I've done. You know, he's worked with Bobby Graham, who of course did an episode on. He worked with Clem Catini. He's worked with so many names, you know, of people that we've read about through the 60s and, you know, sort of worked alongside a lot of the people I've interviewed for this podcast. And it's just so lovely to speak with somebody. It's a privilege, basically, to speak with somebody who was that involved in the music scene and has had such a huge impact on music. And that's not to mention that he's, of course, such a pleasant and a humble and generous guy. If I have half the amount of generosity of spirit and lust for life that he has, then I will lead a supremely happy life. He's incredibly inspirational to speak to, and I'm recording this the afternoon after I spoke to him. And I'm completely buzzing, just feel a huge wave of honour to have spoken with him and a wave of passion to just sort of get on with projects. It's really inspiring to have spoken to. So Ted, if you're listening back to this, thank you. So I hope you're enjoying it. And I'm just going to let you get straight back in. So here we go, part 2 of my conversation with Ted Fletcher.
There were a lot of smaller stations started coming on stream, and they were all scrabbling for, to get on the air as cheaply as possible. So the competition was really fierce, and equipment companies had looked around and saw Alice and saw what we had done. And undercut us, basically.
Right.
So our business sort of whittled down until we were actually not doing very well at all.
Mm.
And in the end, I sold the company. And the chap who bought the company was an ex-chief engineer of the Reading local radio station.
Oh, interesting.
And he revamped the company and called it Alice Soundtech, and promptly lost money, probably even faster than I did. And I think he went bust sort of 3 or 4 times. And I can talk about this because, in fact, he's dead. The Alice company disappeared completely. And in the end, the trademark and the name became available. I don't know about the details of that, but I do know that Paul Anderson, who now runs the company, spotted it and bought the assets.
Oh, interesting.
So he owns the trademark and the rabbit logo.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that. I mean, I'd like to talk a bit more about the company now, a little later on. I mean, something that's kind of really interesting to me, and it's not necessarily relevant for audio, but I read that you were involved. So post Alice, you were involved in some of the first in-car hands-free sets. Which is I find that really interesting, and I think it is relevant because it kind of shows that you've always been pushing at the forefront of technology and interested in sort of just pushing the boundaries a little bit, not chasing other people. You've been the leader and in sort of developing things.
Well, that was clear. That came from in local radio. One of the important program ideas that people had were telephone phone-ins, with phone-ins, you've got to have a system where you avoid feedback when you've got both ends open.
Yes.
And so there was the system that everyone was using was a German system, which used hybrid transformers, which actually cancelled out one of the signals, which worked okay, but it wasn't that good. So I thought it'd be good if I developed something a bit better, which we did at Alice. And that then Motorola found out about this and asked me if I'd like to work on hands-free telephones. And so I did some work. So I did some freelance work with Motorola, Motorola and Vodafone, which meant that I had probably one of the very first in-car phone systems.
Wow.
In my car at the time. Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And from an engineering point of view, it's such a, it's clever. I mean, I don't know enough about electronics to comment on it really, but it sounds to do with phase cancellation and things like that.
Well, it's more than that. It's it is. It's phase cancellation, but it's also it's time basically. What you've got to do is introduce a delay so that you can cancel out what's being reflected back up the line. And that was, that worked okay. And then, even more important, what happened then was some people, friends of mine in banking, said, "Would you like to come and do some work with a money trading company in London and produce a system where they can talk to everybody all over the world simultaneously in separate loudspeakers and not have any feedback?" and at which point I gulped and effectively actually started a new company.
This reminds me of we were just talking about KPM and you were being asked to to build a studio and suddenly it's almost the same thing but just intensely more complicated. This was huge. I mean, this was very, very big. And I ended up doing a lot of work for BT because BT wanted to buy the systems that I developed. And I ended up spending 3 or 4 years flying around the world installing these systems. Wow!
In all the major capitals. I spent a lot of time in Sydney, in New York, in Frankfurt, as well as in London.
It's just amazing, and it makes complete sense that would all come from. The trajectory of it all is really logical, actually.
That's right. Yeah.
So then,
inevitably, and then of course, digital audio became much more prevalent and got a lot better. And in fact, nowadays, echo cancellation systems have improved hugely, and they're all digital, of course.
Yes, yeah.
My system was analog.
It's the engineering capabilities, or sort of the engineering know-how to do that is, just second to none. It's unbelievable that you were at the forefront of all of that. It almost feels a bit crude talking about it now because of systems that of that sort of magnitude, but. At what point did you were famously involved with the Joe Meek optical compressor? So then how did that, presumably this was post all of that.
Yes, it was. Well, what happened was I really wanted to get away. I think my health was suffering actually at the time.
Yeah.
I was suffering from bronchitis and asthma a lot, living in the Thames Valley, and the atmosphere actually wasn't very good where I lived. It was in between Reading and Wokingham, and it was a road which was being used a lot by traffic, and the atmosphere wasn't good for me for my breathing.
Yes,
and so one day, my wife and I decided to go for a drive and find somewhere else. And so we drove down to the West Country, literally started in North Devon and then meandered across the moors and at one stage bought a local paper and found an advert for a 15th century cottage standing in 5 acres in a little village called Coomintine Head, which is just adjacent to Newton Abbot. So we drove there, drove to it, saw it, and it was wonderful.
Yeah. Oh,
and so I bought it.
Fantastic! What a cool story.
Yeah,
I love that that sort of lust for life, just to be able to make decisions like that. That's fantastic.
Well, this is what you've got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course,
you have to do it. You come to a point where you get fed up with something, and you just say, you know what, let's do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, did you start tinkering back again with audio outboard?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. It was like I was trying to retire, I suppose. Really. Yeah. I mean, it was all a bit haphazard, honestly. I was trying to retire, and I thought, I don't know, let's do something different. So I thought I'll make a video. So I had a good video camera at the time, so I thought I'd try and make a travelogue of villages and lovely places in Devon, which I did. I did that, and when it came to putting some sound on it, I hadn't got a compressor, and so I said, better make one. So this is absolutely true.
Oh, I love it.
This is absolutely true. And so I built a compressor, and I thought, this is good. I like this. This is nice. It's really did wonders for the music. I called my brother, who was a songwriter at the time in Savile Row, and I went up and see him. I went up to town and saw him with a prototype of this compressor, and he said, "Cool." He said, "You should really try and market this. It might be good."
Yeah.
What are you going to call it? So, it's a bit like the ones we used to use at Joe Meek's. So we'll call it the Joe Meek. So that was the name of the company.
Oh, fantastic! Again, it's such a cool story, and it's just a case of I don't even know how to describe it, because it's sort of blind confidence, isn't it? That you just make these things and just confidently put it out there into the world. And
but you only know about the successful bits.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There's a lot of times when you build something and it's a pile of junk and it doesn't work. So it's not perfect all the time.
Where did the green come from for that?
The story, I've told the story a few times actually, and but it's true. Before I took it to London to show my brother, it was a blank aluminium chassis.
Yeah.
And it was a Friday afternoon, and I thought I really ought to colour it, paint it, So I drove in the 3 miles into Newton Abbot. And as you go into Newton Abbot, on the left-hand side, there is a motor accessories shop. So I stopped there and went in, and I said, "Have you got anything quick-drying paint that I can use, that spray paint that's really good?" And the bloke was not very interested, and he sort of turned around and went like that and picked down a can off the shelf and plonked it on the thing. And I said, "Haven't you got any other colours?" He said, "No, it's the only one I got." It was green.
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, I'll have it." So I took it home and sprayed the front panel green.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's either going to work or it isn't. And a lot of people complained and didn't like it, and said, who's going to have green equipment in their rack? It's nonsense. No one's going to do that. Nobody's going to buy it. But that was untrue. Everyone bought it.
But it's different, isn't it? It's recognisable. You know, if you see a picture of someone's studio and they've got one in the rack, you can instantly
see a piece of green.
it.
It's it's a piece of Joe Meek equipment. Yeah,
that's it.
That's right. Yes.
So it's it's kind of well known as quite a characterful compressor. I mean, what were you sort of setting out? You know, what were you looking at sort of? Did you have anything particular in mind? I mean, it's obviously, you know, as a drummer, I'm thinking on a stereo drum bus. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's very good. It's called luck.
Yeah.
It's fortunate that the type of optical cells that I use, the time constants on them are very similar to the way your ear works naturally, and to do with the attack times and release times. They sound right.
Okay.
And also, there's a high degree of hysteresis in the way the timing works. If you use these cells and you push a lot of light into them, the whole thing slows down, so it changes its character completely. So if they're cold and haven't been illuminated for a while, then there's a resistance. They've got an internal resistance that stops them working very well. After they've been working for a while, they work better.
Okay.
So it's got a lot of give and take about it, and it's very difficult to achieve that. To set up the sort of facts, if you wanted to write down and draw a graph of the various time constants within the system, it's very complicated.
Yes,
it's not. It isn't a simple shine a light at it and it drops the level. It's not as simple as that. Everything changes. The attack time changes. It changes with the amount you use it. And it's lucky. It works very similarly to the way the human ear works. So I got it right, pretty well right first time, actually. That one, the Joe Meek SC2.
Yes,
is pretty well right, and I've used the same circuit for ever since.
Interesting. Yeah,
I've changed. I have changed a few things in that. Nowadays, it's got a much more predictable compression ratio, but basically it's the same. Yeah.
So then you sold off that company. I mean,
yeah. Well, that was unfortunate. You see, what happened there was 90% of the business that I was doing, it was in the Joe Meek company, was in America.
Okay.
The agent, the American agent, Alan Hyatt.
I've actually had Alan on the podcast, interestingly. So he's interesting chap.
Interesting chap, yes. He and I don't get on. He's the only man in the world I don't get on with. And I mean, he saw it as an opportunity. He saw 9/11 as an opportunity. That's the bottom line. He had a massive order in with Joe Meek, with the company, for stuff. I sent it all out there to the States, and he decided that he wasn't going to pay for it. And so effectively it shut the company. I mean, it was a lot of money.
Yes, yeah.
It was a large proportion of £1 million.
Yeah.
So we had to shut down the company, and in the end, the people who stepped in to manipulate the remains of the company sold the assets, and in fact, Alan Hyatt bought the trademark.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So, but you know, it doesn't matter because he never made a success of it.
Well, no,
He decided that my designs were obsolete, and so he needed something new. So he used a different designer, and it's still running, I presume, the company.
Well, yeah, this is what I was just about to say. I mean, it matters in the sense that, you know, the stuff that you were involved in the design of is respected, and you know, it's always mentioned in all of the notes. If you ever look at a piece of Joe Meek gear from the time that you were involved in the company, your name is synonymous with it, and as a sort of trademark of quality on it. And the Joe Meek branded stuff that's out now, even just looking at it, you can see it's plastic, and you know, it's the complete antithesis of what we've been discussing makes high quality gear. So I think as long as consumers recognize that difference, I think it's just a shame to see something that you know, it's got ties back to the beginnings of your career, and it's a shame to see something like that go the way it has. But yes,
it doesn't bother me that much anymore. I mean, well, it never bothered me much at the time. It was it's just that's life.
Yes,
it's I've got no, I would do business with Alan Hart again now, actually, because I don't know, I don't hold a grudge.
No, well, I think
he saw it as an opportunity, and he went for it.
Yeah,
that was it.
So, in terms of now, you started. The Alice company has come back, and I think you mentioned there's a promo video for the Mark III of the 828 on the video, and you mentioned people contacting you about repairs and spares for the original Mark I's and IIs. And was that a surprise that people are still using them, or how did you feel when you started to be approached about these things?
Well, nobody's stopped using them. I mean, there's hundreds of them in use, 828s. Mind you, they're getting a bit old now, because the Mark I's were made in 1980-81, and they're getting a bit old now. Mm-hmm. The pop tracks are really suffering. The faders are generally had it by now, because in fact the faders that we used weren't that good. There's much better ones around now. Mm-hmm. For example, on the new 828, we use a conductive plastic fader, but it's not viciously expensive like the Penny and Giles would have been.
Yeah,
but it's made in Germany, and it's extremely good. It's very smooth, and I expect it to last 30 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So it seems they obviously built these. The consoles originally built for broadcast, like you said, and now they seem to suit. The kind of studio that I run, essentially. It's got I'm recording drums, so it's got 8 inputs and 8 outputs, and it kind of it seems. Just really fortunate that the way that sort of with DAWs now and people buying 500 series bits of outboard, that you can route them through this mixer really well. So it seems like a really nice marriage for the way that people operate now.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, and my favorite mixer of all time probably was the 828S, which is 3 mics and 5 stereo channels, which is and the one I've got, the one I've used for years, I've still got it. It's fitted with PPMs, and I've used it exactly the way you say, using digital systems, digital outboards into it, and it's just brilliant. It sounds right, and it just works.
So how did you mentioned Paul Anderson buying the name Alice. So how did it all come back around to? Was this sort of 2019 that it all got back moving again? How did that all come about?
I don't know really. I can't remember who contacted who. I think probably Paul contacted me for something, maybe to pass on an email address of someone probably who owned an old 828. And at that time, I mean, well, for years I've been repairing old gear. Mm-hmm. I've always said if any gear that I design breaks down, then generally I'll fix it at a very reasonable rate.
Yeah.
And that's it. But he then told me, he phoned me up and told me what had happened and how he bought the assets. Oh, I know what it was. I was trying to contact the guy who originally bought the company. And I didn't realize he was dead. But anyway, in my search on the internet, I found Paul Anderson. That's right.
I see.
Yeah, that's it. That's what happened. Yes, it's reminding me now. Yeah. For some reason, I wanted some information on the old stuff. And one that I thought that he might have some records.
Oh, I see.
But anyway, all that didn't work. So, anyway, no. Paul works a lot of the time for the BBC.
Okay.
He's involved in television outside broadcast.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And he's also a bit of a dab hand at making things. So he does the putting together.
Oh, fantastic. I love that.
So we've got subcontractors who are capable of stuffing printed circuit boards, putting components into boards.
Yes.
Which is nowadays, of course, is a highly specialized business because 90% of everything is surface mount.
Yes.
But in fact, the new 828, most of that is through hole. It's actually conventional.
I love that, and I love that. Just thinking about that video that you put together for the Alice website, you mentioned sort of back engineering to work out why it sounds the way it does, and how I'm really fascinated by the sort of progression of valve technology through to transistor technology, and then naturally we all want to just keep pushing forward. Then Pro Tools came about, and then DAWs and digital and all this stuff. But actually, you talked about the inconsistencies of transistor technology and how that's part of the beauty of the sound, and people are beginning to realize that now. Hence this podcast and the way that a lot of people work nowadays.
Oh yes,
and that's why the 500 series market and the sort of gear market, if you like, is
that's right.
grown up. So how, what did you? I mean, I'm sure it's a not a quick answer, but how did you go about trying to work out what the best points of the original Alice's were and what to bring now? What's required now?
I started out with the idea of reproducing the original 828 Mark I, because that a number of people have said to me who've used 828s, said, we like our old 828 Mark I. The Mark II isn't as good. Well, I've done technical testing with modern test gear on both, and frankly, there's very, very little in it between the two.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, seeing as I've got a Mark II.
Well, yes, that's right. Yeah, but there are slight differences.
Yeah.
probably the main difference is that the Mark I distorts earlier.
Okay.
So you do get a very slight amount of second harmonic distortion. It occurs in transistor circuits faster than it does, and in a more pleasant way than it does in integrated circuit stuff. The other problem is that the only distortion that you get really in integrated circuitry is actually third order distortion, which produces uneven harmonics, which are very, very unpleasant to the ear.
Mm-hmm.
So even at very low levels, you can still, you're not aware of it, but it just doesn't sound right.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So I mean this is a major fundamental, really,
yes.
in how stuff sounds, and it's very much so in hi-fi stuff as well. You know, there's 99% of hi-fi talk is rubbish, but there is a 1% there.
That does make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm aware that I've kept you for a while. I've got two more bit sort of points to ask you. So, firstly, throughout all, I've put here since 2002. I mean, you've essentially been running TF Pro Audio for the whole time. So Alice might, it's sort of coming back, but you've been making sort of outboard gear for the last 20 years. I mean, I suppose it says on the website that it's more of a hobby now than anything. But
I was going to say in a very small way. Yes.
Yeah, but it's still.
But I sell the old compressor.
Yeah, and it's 500
one every couple of weeks.
Yeah. I mean, you're still pushing and keeping up with with the trends of the way outboard is. It's very relevant. The sort of the things you're putting together.
And there, it's extremely useful that, of course, my son Guy, who's got a studio just down the road here, he spends 80% of his time at British Grove Studios.
Yes,
working with Mark Knopfler. But he does quite a lot of work he does some work in his own studio, and so I've got a sort of built-in test bench there. And if I've got a piece of equipment that I want to hear how it behaves in a modern studio, then I lend it to him, and he tells me in no uncertain terms, usually.
Oh,
and of course, more recently, his son Max, he's a lecturer at Chichester University. He lectures in music technology.
Oh, fantastic!
So, and he's a fine guitarist and musician as well, and he's very useful too. And being a lot younger, he fills me in on trends and the way things are going.
Yeah.
So that's useful.
It's keeping you on your toes. It's good.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yes.
The other, there's some really great information on your TF Pro website about your masterclasses section. And why did you? I mean, I'm going to put a link to it in the notes because I recommend people go and read all of that because it's excellent. And why did you feel the need to write to put that there? And
in fact, those pieces are actually notes that I used for university lectures. They are scripts, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I generally work. If I'm doing a lecture, I do tend to script it very carefully.
Yes.
I very rarely, I never work. In fact, this is one of the very few times that I work without notes.
Well, I'm privileged.
Yeah. So But no, it's. I think it's good to do that because it means that I can study the subject as I go and write the notes and write something down and say, hang on a minute, that's not right. Let's look at it again. So,
well, thank you for putting them there. And they remind me of Malcolm Toft has a similar set of videos on his website. And I think that it's really important. There's so much hot air on sort of YouTube and on the internet, and to see information coming from experienced sources like you guys is it's really important for the younger generation to read through and sort of ignore all of the waffle that's out there and just almost go for the jugular. It's great.
Yeah. Of course. And nowadays I've got 4 projects running at the moment. One of which is the new Pi compressor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, again, this is an interesting one. You see, Paul Anderson spotted that the Pi logo, the Pi name, was up for grabs. So he bought it.
Of course he did.
Yes. So we now own. I'm a director of Alice now, by the way, of course.
Yeah.
But we decided that it might be a good idea to reintroduce a Pi compressor.
Absolutely, yeah.
So in fact, I'm now waiting today for the first prototype main printed circuit board, fully loaded, to come in so that I can test it.
Oh wow!
So it's quite a piece of kit.
That's exciting. So is this? I mean, is it in prototype stage now?
Well, I have built a sort of a hand-built, hung-together one, and it works okay.
So when might we all see it?
It's going to take a couple of months.
Okay.
Because I've got to get the designs for the front panel and the back panel, get those organised. But that's imminent. Yeah.
Oh, very exciting. The final thing, I'd love it. I know you've told this story, but I'd love to hear the Pinewood story of the Neve console with an Alice console in the middle of it.
True, absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I was over there. I was friendly with one of the senior engineers at Pinewood, and I was with him one day because I did some work for them, designing microphone amplifiers for one of their dubbing studios, and he said to me one day, he said, "Do you want to come into the main soundstage because they're running they're doing a film final dub at the moment." So I went in there, and it was a James Bond film they were doing, and the Neve console with 3 engineers on it, which is about 15 feet long.
Yeah.
And there, sitting in the middle, was an Alice 828. I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? One of my little mixers in there. He said, it's the limiters.
Oh, fantastic.
So they were using the limiters on the 828. That's
amazing. How cool.
Extraordinary. Yeah, that's right. But they are good limiters. And again, that was almost by accident because I designed those limiters in the 828 Mark I.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It seems that everything, there's been lots of happy accidents that you've sort of stumbled across. Yes, that's right. Yeah, but that's good because there's a lot of stumbling. Yeah,
if you do a lot of stumbling, you're bound to get some of them right.
Oh, I mean that's great advice. Don't be afraid to stumble.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking so much time to speak to me. And I think
that's all right.
It's been such a lovely conversation. There we have it, the final part of my conversation with Ted Fletcher of Alice Audio and Joe Meek Audio, and also TF Pro, which is Ted Fletcher Pro Audio. Go and check out his websites. As I said at the end of the last episode, if you go to tfpro.co.uk, or no, .com, apologies, there is some masterclasses on there, which are all lecture notes from some lectures that Ted gave. I'll just read some of the titles here because they're pretty nerdy, but I think you'll like them. There's one called Perceptions in Record Production, Natural Sound, Distortions, Compression and Images, Recording in the Real World, Recording Media and Early Recordings, some thoughts on spatial sound, semantics, which was a Thames Valley University lecture he gave, notes for the art of record production, good sounds, equalizers and compressors, and all of it's just there. All the knowledge is just there for free, and what a gift that is. So go and check that out. And there's also a shop on there where he sells some of the hand-built stuff that he's made, which I am hoping to purchase some of that. I'm saying it quite quietly because my wife's in the next room and she might hear me say things like that, and she's sick of me buying gear. And if you want to check out the picture of the Alice console that I recently came across, that was Bobby Graham's, I own it now, that belonged to Bobby Graham, the well-known drummer from the 60s who I did an episode on. You can go to my Instagram at All You Need Is Drums, and there's some pictures on there. By the time you're listening to this, it will have been tarted up and cleaned and should be in use in my studio. So I'm very excited about that. That just leaves me to say, if you'd like to get in contact with me, my email address is joe@allyouneedisdrums.com. You can visit my website, allyouneedisdrums.com, where there is music I've been involved with or helped build. There's also some nice, I hate that word, lovely enamel mugs that you can purchase to help support this podcast. A huge thank you to Joe Kane for the intro and outro music, to Adam Mallet for the artwork, and to Rory Hancock for editing and uploading this podcast. I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate you for listening. Thank you. And I will be back next week with more 60s music chat. Goodbye.